Hey everybody, I hope your day is going well. Today I want to dive into a product review for the Redcon1 Total War. Total War has been a great selling product for us, but with the inclusion of two new exclusive Canadian flavors, one being Yukon Gold, which is the one I trained on this morning, and the second is Northern Lights, and they gave this one a really cool sort of like green and blue and white layout, so I think that's really cool. Total War, if I'm being honest, I actually hadn't trained on very much, and I'm unsure why. I think it dropped with some other pre-workouts that I really enjoyed, so it was good to get a refresher on this product, and give it a go. So like I said, I trained on the Yukon Gold. It was very tasty, and I'll get into the flavor profile when I do a mixability test for you guys. I just want to quickly run through the label. I'll do my best to keep this brief and not too boring. L-citrulline malate in a 2-to-1 ratio, which is perfectly disclosed it, providing 4 grams of pure L-citrulline, 2 grams of malic acid. L-citrulline is going to be a precursor to arginine, really good for blood flow, which is great for pumps. It's also great for recovery standpoint. And the malic acid is just used to bond some of the citrulline. Also, malic acid is actually pretty pertinent in the Krebs cycle, which is the utilization of sort of like carbohydrates. So that's pretty interesting. Second ingredient, beta-alanine, which is a muscle endurance ingredient. It's also the ingredient that can give a little bit of paresthesia and some tingles, and that's in a 3,200 milligram dose. So if you're not used to beta-alanine, you for sure will get some tingles going. They do dissipate over time, and it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just the nerve endings getting stimulated, and beta-alanine is just a non-conditional essential amino acid, so it's actually not providing any stimulatory effects or anything. It's just that it's giving you sort of that tingling psychosomatic feeling, so it feels like something is happening, but it's actually an ingredient that's most beneficial when sort of used over time, much like creatine. Third ingredient, taurine, another non-conditional amino acid, but it does just like a plethora of things. It's great for nerve health, hydration, brain health. I really like taurine. There's a 1 gram dose in here. That's kind of the minimum I would like to see in any product, so like 1 to 3 grams I feel is really beneficial. It also does help take the edge off of some really high stimulant products, which this is not, but it's another sort of like double-edged sword to the ingredient. Next up, we have Agmatine sulfate in a full 1 gram dose. This is a byproduct of arginine. By removing the acid, it's a really cool ingredient. Agmatine, in my opinion, is not used enough, especially with citrulline. I find that it can help. It's doing a similar thing, but a little bit different, and it actually helps increase the duration of citrulline. In my anecdotal experience, anytime I've used it or experimented with it as a raw ingredient, adding it to other pre-workouts, I've always really liked it, and I find that 1 gram is 1 to 1.5 grams, maybe even 2, is kind of that sweet spot. Anything over 2, I find that there can be some stomach discomfort for some people. So a nice 1 gram dose in here. Next up, caffeine, 250 milligrams. I don't really have to dive too much into caffeine. 250 milligrams is honestly, I think, a really sweet spot for most people's training that they could use consistently, especially if you manage your stims throughout the day, not having a bunch of like energy drinks and or coffees and stuff like that. And it's also low enough that most people are not gonna, even with some anxiety or even low stimulant tolerances, 250 is not crazy. So for me, it's almost the sweet spot. Like 225 to 275 is really my sweet spot, where I'm not getting any negative side effects, but I'm also getting most of the positive ones, so that feels really good. Next up is an ingredient called Ampiberry. Ampiberry is derived from a plant called juniper. Juniper is, funny enough, actually used in like Ayurvedic medicine for, I believe, like bronchial infections and stuff. But in this case, in that specific Ampiberry trademarked sort of like concentration of juniper, it actually helps counteract some of the negative side effects of caffeine. It increases the half-life a little bit longer. So if you're training at night, maybe just give this product a test. But it helps from crashing. So it just keeps that big steep fall after increasing all your levels from the caffeine. Next is Naringin, which is a citrus byproduct actually derived from pomelo fruit, I'm pretty sure, so maybe we should fact check me on that. It's either grapefruit or pomelo, but I think pomelo. Anyway, it's just a powerful antioxidant. It's really good for blood pressure. Green tea extract next up in 25 milligram dose, so again, just a 70% catechins, 98% polyphenols, so there's basically no stimulatory effects to this green tea besides some the increase of nitric oxide production, which goes well with the citrulline and the Agmatine, and also just maybe some sort of like antioxidants, protectants. Next up, cocoa, which again is just what it sounds, derived from the cocoa plant, which is 30% theobromine, which again is a very, 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 very slight feel-good stimulant. It's similar to a caffeine receptor, but quite a bit different in effect. It's very, very low levels of stimulation, but it does pair well with caffeine and the juniper. So this is a really, one of the best. This and Supernova have some herbs / the stimulants paired together, work really synergistic for like a really happy, sustained feeling. I actually don't notice any crash. Being that 250 is like my getting towards my upper limit of stimulants, you probably tell I just trained, so I'm a little bit high strung still. So it does last a little bit. And the last ingredient on this is called bioperine, which is just a black pepper fruit extract. All that's going to do is help with the absorption of all these ingredients so that they work really well and get into the bloodstream where they need to be. I'm going to mix up a scoop of this. If I'm being honest, when I took my pre this morning, I did a lot of different things in there. I had carb powder in there and some fruit juice and a whole bunch of stuff. So I could tell the flavor, but I really wasn't able to just give it a full total try. So let's give it a mix and we'll go from there. So I am gonna make a note with this product because I have had a few people ask. We'll just wait for this to dissipate slightly. And if you look, you can kind of see some like specks of brown in there. That is probably gonna be that Ampiberry ingredient. And it also could be the bioperine, so the black pepper extract. It's nothing to be alarmed about. They will settle a little bit at the bottom, but that's okay. When you're just drinking it, just give it a few swirls before you take your next sip, and no problem at all. See, this is pineapple. For sure, it's pineapple something, or just pineapple, but they did a really, really, really good job of flavoring this. It's way better than most of their other flavors, so I really, really feel like this is going to be a great addition to anyone's pre-workout. Both new flavors we have right now on the shelves, and everything in the store is going to be BOGO 50 for a week. So probably the longest sale since I've been a part of the group. Anyway, really excited. Hopefully we see everyone soon.